The story is starting to get good. The third banquet has finally arrived, and Esther is going to finally reveal her request to the king. So keep watching. You won't want to miss what she says and how the king responds. Hi, everybody. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind clicking subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. And at the end, please like and share this video. Now here comes today's lesson. We're back, and our lesson this week is on Esther chapter 7. So when we left off last week, the story was getting really good. Mordecai was being led around on a royal horse in royal robes, paraded through the streets by Haman. What an unlikely situation. So if you didn't have a chance to see the lesson last week or the ones previous, you can check them out right here to get the background. But what's happening today is the banquet, the third banquet has finally arrived. And we're going to see if Esther finally reveals her request to the king. And so let's get started. Open your Bibles to Esther chapter 7. And it starts in verse 1. So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. And as they were drinking wine, of course they were. We know how the king likes his wine. As they were drinking wine on the second day, the king asked again, Queen Esther, what is your petition? It will be given you. What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be granted. And so the third time must have been the charm, because Queen Esther must have also gotten the nudge from God that this was the correct timing, because remember, she had two previous banquets and she did not make her request to the king. So here we go. Here it all comes out, Esther 7, 3 through 4. Then Queen Esther answered, if I have found favor with you, your majesty, and if it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition. And spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we had merely been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept quiet, because no such distress would justify disturbing the king. And so Esther was so wise. Not only was her timing perfect, but she, of course, started with respect. If it pleases your majesty. And then she had a layered request. She first said, please save me, save my life, then her people. And then she ended with pointing it to the king and saying, I wouldn't even have bothered asking and disturbing you if this wasn't life or death. And so obviously the king, she was appealing to the king's pride and his ego and everything. She knew exactly what to do. And so there is no way this king would want to see this happen to his beloved queen. And so he asked, well, who could this be? Who is causing all of this? And she says, here it is, dun da da da, in Esther 7, verse 6, Esther said, an adversary, an enemy, this vile Haman. He was right there. There he is. This vile Haman's causing all of this. So it was the king's trusted official. And so the king was shocked, and he went out. He was in a state of rage to take a break out into the garden. And while he was out in the garden, Haman knew that the king was going to not recover from this likely. And so he knew his only chance was to beg Esther. And so he got down on the ground and started begging Esther at her feet. But the king came in, and it says, just as the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet hall, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was reclining. So imagine what the king thought. The king exclaimed, will he even molest the queen while she is with me in my house? This is Esther 7, 8. And so things just kept getting worse for Haman. And with God's perfect timing, guess what happens next? Then Harbona, So one of the eunuchs happens to be there who happens to know about what Haman had prepared for Mordecai. And he says in verse 9 through 10, and Harbonus, one of the eunuchs attending the king, said, a pole reaching to the height of 50 cubits stands by Haman's house. What a coincidence. He had it set up for Mordecai, who spoke up to help the king. The king said, impale him on it. So they impaled Haman on the pole he had set up for Mordecai. Then the king's fury subsided. And so what a twist in the story. I call it the divine reversal has begun. Clearly, this situation with Haman changed literally overnight, and the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai were used on him. And so we are going to see how the story continues to unfold, because it's not over yet. Remember, there is still an edict out for the demise of the Jewish people in the month of Adar, the 13th month. So we're going to see, the month of Adar. So we're going to see how that unfolds in the coming weeks. We have 2 more lessons, so stay tuned. Next lesson is Esther chapter 8. Have a great week. Bye-bye.